What up, y'all? I'm back with another review, and I'm here to review the newest studio album from R.A.P Ferreira entitled Purple Moonlight Pages. Now, you may know this man as R.A.P Ferreira. You may know him as Milo. That's where, his alias. That was his alias. That's the stage name he went under when I first came across his music back with So the Flies Don't Come back in 2015. You may know him as Scallops Hotel or Black Orpheus. Man, I'm always gonna remember him as Milo, but with this project, he's R.A.P Ferreira, and yeah, I've listened to him for almost 5 years now, and he's never let me down. He's always had good projects. Who Told You to Think? I really enjoyed that project as well. That was one of my top 15 of 2017. Um, I didn't know he was only 28 years old though. I felt like he was young, but I felt like he might be right at his mid 30s or something. And I've known he's from Chicago for a while, but he was born in Chicago, but I just don't see him as a Chicago artist for some reason. Like I do this newer wave of Chicago guys like Chance, Saba, Mick Jenkins, and a lot of upcoming names that some of you may have not even heard of, like D2X, my man, freaking Neek. But yeah, he is a Chicago guy, but I just don't really think of him when I think about Chicago guys or older guys. Lupe, Cruiser Conflict, maybe, Kanye, of course, and guys like that. But yeah, R.A.P Ferreira, Purple Moonlight Pages. His name is Rory Allen Philip Ferreira, so it's cool that his part of his initials would play out like that, and he can just go with Ferrara. That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and get right into this, though. This was like an 18-track album. I think I talk about every album on here, at least that I have notes for every track on here. So the first track, Decorum. It was just the intro track. It was just introducing you, to Black Orpheus, to the Jefferson Park Boys, with Kenny Siegel being on that team. He talked about the wisdom body, which when I heard that, I was like, okay, maybe. I mean, he is in Chicago, which is of course very close to Detroit. So maybe he grew up hearing about things like the wisdom body, like Nation Islam, 5% Nation, even though 5% that's more New York, of course. Like as soon as he said wisdom body, I was like, oh shit, okay. And he just talked about how exile is no place for a person or their compassion, and I was like, yeah, like he just starts off like how I expected him to. Like he's like hip hop's philosopher. Well, he's this generation's hip hop philosopher. When I think of true hip hop philosopher, I think of KRS-One before anybody, but he's definitely a close second because Milo just be on some philosophical shit, and I love that. Like I've seen interviews where he talks about being inspired by other rappers who would get very philosophical, or music that's philosophical, or just philosophy in general, which I'm a huge fan of myself. Track number 2, Greens. He talked about the so-called Negroes, which again made me think about NOI/5%, the teachings of Elijah Muhammad. And he talked about the beat going or traveling 29 million miles before it even moved. I was like, 29 million miles. Now, if he'd have said square miles, that would have really made me think. Hold on. Like, the stuff he's talking about, the wisdom body and freaking about the beat traveling 29 million miles and shit like that. And the so-called Negro, it's like, has he been studying this? Like, has he, recently or throughout his life? Like, it's like, damn. Like, and I'm starting to see more of that now. A lot of rappers are starting to quote NOI lessons or 5% Nation lessons or ideologies and things like that, which is cool to see because I've studied some of that myself. Track number. Oh shit! Hold on. He talked about his cipher being secure and about simple mathematics, not supreme mathematics, but simple mathematics. And he talked about how, this quote right here I love. He said, "I've decided to embrace what differentiates me from the anointed clique." I was like, okay, all right, Milo. That kind of brings me back to how he was rapping, what he was rapping about on "So the Flies Don't Come" as well, which is cool. Like, to follow up on that, sort of, whether intentionally or not, like almost 5 years later. Track number 3, Non-Cipher. This is where the album really started to pick up for me. It's very jazzy. He talked about the self being defined by the struggle and finding pain quite humbling. It's just one of those things where it's like, instead of just being, I guess you could say, being reactive, he's being proactive with how he's thinking or how he's viewing what happens to him or what happens in the world. So yeah, just staying on that philosophical shit, man. Track number 4, Omens and Totems. He pretty much said it for me. I mean, I didn't think this, but I'm just gonna go with it because I can kind of see it. This beat sound like a long walk to the dumpster. Yeah, that made me laugh when I first heard it. It's making me laugh now. Very just abstract beat, but not from Milo. Like, for how, and I've heard when I heard him in 2015 when "So the Flies Don't Come," I eventually went back to his previous work before that, and so with a beat like this, it may be abstract to like an untrained ear, I guess, or you could just label it abstract because it's abstract from what you usually hear, like alternative as well. But for Milo, this is just right at home. Like, this is the kind of beat he's supposed to be on. It's not alternative for him. It's just a normal beat. So, now, make sure I'm not getting these notes mixed up. Okay, good. The next track I'm talking about is UDIG. UDIG. United Defenders of International Goodwill. I like how, the main thing I have about this beat, that I like about this beat, is how it, I guess, I don't want to say digresses, but it transitions in ways throughout the beat, throughout the song, which is what I really like the most about this track. Now, the next track, Laundry. Very jazzy again, almost lo-fi. When he talked about wondering if Chance the Rapper do his own laundry, it was just so random. I got to laugh. Like, what is my dude talking about? It was on some real dad rap, which is cool. I don't mind that. He talked about how it was another day, another load of laundry, and as soon as he woke up, that feeling was haunting him. And how, like, what did he say? This will have to be my laundry. Oh, that's not what he said. This is what I said. Sometimes I can't read my own writing, or if I have quotes or not. This is gonna have to be my freaking laundry theme song because this is pretty freaking fun to listen to. It's not. It's not even really corny. It's just really fun to listen to. I know J. Cole did "Folding Clothes," and I liked the track, but I was going like, "What the fuck is this nigga talking about?" I didn't listen to that track and go, like, let me fold clothes to this shit. But with this, I'm kind of like, you know what, let me do laundry to this shit. It's pretty alright. He said, "How many bottles of gain will I gain in this game?" I was like, oh shit, yeah. Yeah, you gotta have that shit. And what did he say? "I'm in the kitchen. My son listening. He's staring with them wide open eyes," which is repeated throughout the track too, which is it's just pretty cool. It's pretty cute too. Like, just like I said, dad rap pretty much. The next track, "Dust Up." When he said, "When I say out loud," Suede Sims on my seat to make my cipher complete. Again, it made me think about the NOI and things like that. I am saying the same thing out loud. I find comfort in the, what did he say? I find comfort in the something. I can't read my own handwriting sometimes. The I can't read it, of the journey, because I am on a literal search for brightness. And very hypnotic beat. And he said even more with what I was just quoting, but it went on a little, not too long, but I was like, yo, I'm running out of space right here, actually. And my hand's starting to get tired from writing all this shit. Like, not just this, but everything else. So I was like, damn. But if you've heard the track, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, check it out. And, of course, this whole album. But yeah, he said more than what I had just quoted. It's just he said a lot following that. Now, the next track, Cycles. This is where the album, again, like, it took it even further step up for me. Really on that philosophical shit here. He talked about, like, it's gonna be a big summer. Everybody keeps saying it's gonna be a big summer, but it's never really that, is it? It's the sprawl of autumn. And he talked about how living myths can come true. Sometimes it might happen to you, especially if you live outside of time. It's like, this nigga, is he reading theology of time? And he talked about, at the end of the world, we was fighting back with brushes and pens. We decided that the suffering should end no matter how good it feels. I was like, oh, that is freaking deep. Just a very observant and aware track. Now, the next track, Absolutes. Just talking about setting nothing but absolutes is pretty much the theme of this track. And then the next track, No Starving Artist. Just no starving artists, just artists striving or starving to know. And I guess that would not appeal to, but I guess that would attest to artists starving to know how to not starve anymore, I guess. Because it's a very, I don't want to say wishful thinking, but it's that'd be nice if there were no starving artists. Like, because they, like, artists do give themselves. I don't even just mean like musicians. I mean just art itself. Like, it'd be nice if that was the case. The track number. Why am I even trying to name what track this is? The next track, which was a single to promote this project, Leaving Hell. Okay, let me get this right here. He said, to start off the track, twist the world where artists bend backwards for benefactors and victims are to be blamed as bad actors. I was like, that's how we're starting this off? Oh, shit. Like, when I first heard the track, at least, because it was a single. But when I first heard this, I was like, whoa, okay, Milo. I mean, rap. All right, Mr. Ferreira. Like, okay. And he also said, like, poetry is illegal unless you're under the underground, devious with determination, solitudes crowded by isolation. He said, wondered warily for several eternities, gaining acclaim, using fake names, vanishing by sunrise, committing to the wisdom of the unwise, in buildings where if I wasn't a performer, they wouldn't let me pass the foil. I was like, yeah, for that to come up, like, for him to say something like that after a track like No Starving Artist, it's like, that really meshes well. Like, that, it's very cohesive. He's keeping it consistent with the theme of the previous track and following it up throughout another track and throughout the album as well. So that was pretty cool to see. And of course, that damn chorus. And that's when I knew I'd found my way out of this hell. I was like, this is my shit. Honestly. He just talked about striving to be the type of poet Lorca was when one turns their back to leave the orchestra. Deep again, like, trying to be that kind of poet that Lorca was, maybe not even for the sense for like what they wrote about or what they talked about, but just having the audacity, just being so secure in yourself and what you want to do to turn your back to leave the orchestra. Like, when you think your time's done, like when it's your time to go. It's like really fucking with that. Now the next track, which is also a single to promote this project, Doldrums. Again, very smooth, jazzy beat. He just talked about like what's rap about and how he wrote this after being kicked out of a place for kicking way too many rhymes. And he just talked about like how all his homies, they suffer the same conundrum that he's facing. Like, not maybe they've been kicked out of places too, for kicking way too many rhymes, but just his homies. Like, I'm guessing he's talking about fellow artists. Like, they're facing the same problems that he's facing. It's like, again, following it up with a track like No Starving Artist. Like, yeah, no starving artists, just artists starving to know. The track like Leaving Hell, for him to say something like all his homies are suffering the same conundrum that he's facing, it's like, it's just dope that he's keeping it consistent. Like, consistently keeping it consistent, I guess. Now the next track, An Idea is a Work of Art, featuring Mike Ladd. Oh, I really enjoyed this track. It just took me away, and the theme is pretty much being on a quest to get open and free. It's just, and it's a very hypnotic beat as well, and it's just relatable. It's like just not trying to conform or just go along with societal norms. Like, just trying to pave your own way, pave your own path. And maybe leave it for somebody else too, and seeing the fork in the road and choosing the third way, kind of like what Quelle Chris said on Birthdays, off of Being You Is Great, I Wish I Could Be You More Often. Like, just really, really relatable. And these last few tracks I got to talk about. The next track is Mythical, another one of my favorite tracks without question. Just a pleasure. Just a pleasure to listen to, man. I mean, just what a run of tracks from No Starving Artist to this. Which he actually says that, like, he drops the title. Like, he says No Starving Artist in this track. So for him to drop that title of that track, and for me to like just think anyway, like, that from No Starving Artist to this track has been such a run for him to just name No Starving Artist. It's like, yeah, thank you for reminding me where this freaking started, like this great run of tracks. Like, just freaking amazing, man. And the next track, which I really enjoyed as well, he actually really kept this going ever since No Starving Artist. It's like a straight shot from here. Like, Pinball featuring Open Mike Eagle. Another hypnotic vibing track. This is just cool to see because I remember the first time I heard Open Mike Eagle and Milo on a track. Well, he was Milo then, on a track together. It was Trickeration off of that, what was it? Well, I remember the cover. So it's plain as day to me. But what's it called? Like, split pants at open mic or something. Something like that. Anyway, the next track, Golden Sardine. What he's pretty much emphasizing here is that whatever's mine, whatever's his, is in his mind. Which, that is true, because even if you've had a thought that somebody else may think or has thought before in the past, it's still your thought, and what's in your mind is yours, and it's most unique to you, just like anything else that comes from you. So, really feeling this track too. Then the next track, Road Talk, it just feels like therapy. Like, it really does. Like, not just for me, but it feels like therapy. It feels like for Milo to do this track, or just make music in general. Like, he talked about how he desperately needs to be understood, and just desperately needs understanding. And what did he say here? My goodness. So, like I said, sometimes I can't read my own handwriting. What am I trying to say here? Oh, sight is useful but not necessary. Sight is useful but not necessary. Which, I mean, I can see what he's trying to say, but it's not like I necessarily agree. But that's not what this is about. This is about this track being dope as hell. And at the end, there was this little skit about a dude talking about today's mathematics, and the dude said, "Yo, today's mathematics is getting this motherfucking money." I was like, yeah. Talking about today's mathematics, it's like for him to just drop these little hints throughout his music, like especially really with this project. It's like, is he now a 5%er, or is he in the Nation of Islam? Or is he just studying it, which is fine. Like whether he's a member of either or not, like it's fine. Like they don't have a problem, from what I understand, with if you're not a member, you studying the lessons anyway. But for him to drop this, and for me to see more artists dropping stuff like this, is pretty cool. And the last track, Master Plan. Just a very nice intro track where he just talks about how he really in a real chilled back way, like saying goodbye type of way, says like the creator has a master plan, a plan of peace and happiness all across the land and things like that. Fantastic. Fantastic. Great project. And I'm late on this. This dropped in like what, early, mid-March? I'm at least 2 months later reviewing this. But I'm glad that I took the time to come back to this album again and again and really just sit with it to make sure that I understand. Because at first I was like half and half on it. I was like, I'm only feeling about half of these tracks. But then one day, something just like that. So I'm really enjoying this project. Shout out to Milo. Like, just staying consistent, man. I love it. I'd give this project a 7.5 out of 10. If you've heard this project, please let me know what you think about it in the comment section below and what you think about my review on it. And if you haven't heard this project, I definitely recommend that you check it out. So please be sure to hit the like button if you like this review. Share the review. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and like the content that you see. Check the description because my links are down there as well. And like I said, if you've heard this album, let me know what you think about it and what you think about my review. And if you haven't heard the album, definitely check it out and come back and let me know what you think about it and what you think about my review. And that'll be it. That's pretty much it. Thank y'all for watching. I will see y'all next time. Things seem to be getting better out in the world, but still, take precautions and things like that, and just stay safe. I'll see y'all next time.